So there are a lot of different ways we could talk about Laudato Si. It's so significant. Yes, it's representative of some thought since the last 800 years, we might put it, but deeply reliant on texts and traditions and scripture that go obviously far beyond that, into your territory, I presume, as well as the tradition that all of us are steeped in. New to, maybe what I'll do is talk a little bit about, in kind of like three ways, talk about the different models of creation and how maybe we can situate Laudato Si to understand better what is maybe new and what is kind of consistent about it. And then talk about some of the key points that Pope Francis is drawing our attention to. And then I would like to point out, because you foolishly invited a Franciscan with my Franciscan sidekick and backup here, I might point out a few things that are resonant about Francis of Assisi, St. Bonaventure, some of the Franciscan sources that Pope Francis mentions. But to understand the history of you know, in just really brief kind of flyby overview of Christian approaches to theologies of creation, there are three sort of categories that theologians more or less agree on. We can call them like umbrella categories under which we can situate different thinkers. So we might say, oh, what is Corey, who's your favorite theologian of ancient past? Who do you love?
Depends on the day.
Pick one, doesn't matter. What's today? Yeah. What's
today? Well, I'm a round assumptionist, so it has to be St. Augustine.
Okay.
Very good.
Good answer.
Good stay.
You can say like
extra points.
So if we pick, take St. Augustine for instance, and we look at his three commentaries on Genesis, the literal commentary on Genesis, the other commentary on Genesis, and then the incomplete commentary on Genesis, and we kind of synthesize all of his reflections on creation, and we say, well, what is St. Augustine's theology of creation? How do we put him in relationship to maybe St. Thomas Aquinas or Bonaventure or Cyril of Alexandria or whomever? These categories help us to organize that kind of system, to kind of get a grasp of where Augustine might fit in relationship to other. And these three categories go by the names: the dominion model of creation, or dominion style of creation, the stewardship model of creation, and the kinship or community of creation model. Now the dominion model is one that takes almost exclusively Genesis 1, the whole, you know that there are two creation narratives in Genesis, right, at the beginning. Okay, just make sure everybody's on the same page. You never know, somebody might go, I don't know. So Genesis 1 is the Easter Vigil edition. We get evening came and morning followed the next day, right? It's also there in Genesis 26 and 28, chapter 1, verses 26 and 28. We get this kind of awkward instruction or mandate from God to humanity that's created in the image and likeness, created male and female. And we are told as human beings to have dominion and to subdue the earth, all of creation, all of the animals, all of the life. And those two words, which in Hebrew are prada and kabash, respectively, these two words and these two verses get taken really almost out of context and are carried through the tradition centuries upon centuries upon centuries as justifying human kind of sovereignty. It gives us kind of complete authority, as if what God has done is created this world, created this universe, this cosmos, and everything in it that isn't a human person, as kind of our playground, as our home that's then been given to us to do with as we please. So you might think of it as like a home ownership thing, it's like my land, I'll do what I want. God's given me right to have dominion and I will subdue everything. I'm gonna drill as much as I possibly can. I'm gonna cut down all the trees, I'm gonna pollute the waters. I can do as I want. Theologians and historians have looked at sacred scripture and its interpretation in this model, in this way of thinking, and said, you know what, maybe this isn't the whole picture. Maybe this isn't accurate. Maybe this isn't actually what scripture says. And to just jump ahead for a second, Pope Francis, for once and for all, says in Laudato Si that this is not an accurate reading of Genesis from a Christian perspective. So, at least for Roman Catholics, in an authoritative way, this clearly defined teaching at the encyclical level, Pope Francis makes clear that you cannot hold this position. We have not been given sovereignty over all of creation in this domination sort of way.